Rita Rosenbach. Welcome to today's Q&A session. I am the author of the book Bringing Up a Bilingual Child, and also the driving force behind the website multilingualparenting.com, as well as this Facebook page that you are on at the moment. Today I will be answering 2 questions, and if there are any further questions in the comments, I will also answer those. So I have a question from Irit and another question from Monica. And I will start with Irit's question, which is quite interesting. Irit has got 2 girls, 3 years and 18 months. And she lives in Los Angeles with the kids and her husband, who is American. She speaks both Russian and Hebrew to a native level, and she's passing both of those languages on to her children. So she started by speaking 1 week of Hebrew and then 1 week of Russian, then changed to 2 weeks of each, and now at the moment does changes monthly. She also reads CDs and reads books and listens to CDs, and they sing songs together in the languages. All good stuff. So Irit's question is, like she puts it, my question is, am I putting too much on the kids? Is this the right approach? And Irit adds that she absolutely wants her daughters to know her native languages, and whether I've heard similar stories before. Well, actually I have. My fellow coach, Maria Babin, whom you can find at trilingualmama.com. She does exactly this. Her native languages are Spanish and English, and she's currently living in France, where she alternates every 2 weeks. She's got 4 children. The eldest are teenagers, and the youngest is, I think, about 4. And she changes every 2 weeks, and has been doing so for quite a while, and it has been successful. The children are picking up the languages. So to your question, are you putting too much on your kids? No, I don't think so. I think your kids can definitely cope with this. That's not. I think it's more on perhaps on you, because you need to be consistent, and you need to be conscious about which language you speak all the time. But it's not too much for your kids. And you also mentioned that your 3-year-old daughter only speaks English back. This is a very normal reaction, taking into account that she goes to English daycare, has got an English grammar, and speaks English with dad. English is definitely her dominant language, while you have 2 languages to compete with. So you need to have patience and belief that it works, because as I said, Maria Babin has done this, and it does work. It is hard work, and you need to keep consistent, and I can read from your message that you are. So I do believe that you can cope with this. Then you have a question about homework. So what can you do what should you do when your daughters bring homework back, and how can you help them? Well, actually, quite a lot of homework can be done in whatever language you speak with your child. It's actually quite an effective brain gym to be doing having homework in one language and then speaking about it in another. Quite often, I've heard this from parents, is that when children have to relate the question from one language, in this case English, to either Russian or Hebrew, that process of retelling or describing the homework often solves a problem in itself, because when you have to translate something from one language to another, you have to think about it a lot more deeply than what you do when you just read out whatever teacher has written on a paper. Of course, this doesn't work for all subjects. Let's say in subjects for like English and maths as well, because maths is very often very closely related to the terms and phrases that are used when it's taught. So in that case, if you are the one who will do the homework, then for those I would definitely use English. But in other cases, use as much Hebrew and Russian or Russian as you can, depending on which language is in turn. Maybe can Dad maybe do maths and English? I don't know. You can see if you can have a share of who does what language. Patience is what you need. With regards to your 18-month-old, now if you're changing on a monthly basis, that's quite a long while before your 18-month-old will hear like the other language. So maybe you could consider whether you should go back to 2 weeks each. But you will know this best how it works. But I would also recommend that you speak to your 3-year-old is that it's very important that she helps you with helping her little sister learn Russian and Hebrew, because you can explain to her, you already know these languages, and you can help Mama pass them on to your little sister as well. Kind of give her also a role in this language passing on languages. But yes, you can do it. Commitment and patience, and don't despair. Although you don't get an answer in Hebrew and Russian, it can take some time. I know those families where there are only 2 languages, and the minority language parent has waited for maybe 4 years, 5 years before it has happened. But usually it does work, and it's just keeping that consistency. That's important. So that's Irit's question. And next question is Faye Ben asks, what's my native language? My native language is a Finland Swedish dialect. That's what I would say. That's my very native language. That was the first language I learned, but then I learned Finnish and Swedish as well growing up. And now, so those are my native languages. That's what I would say, 3 of them. Because I separate the dialect and the Swedish, because they are so different. There's such a big difference between the dialect and the Swedish language. Then, okay, next question is from Monica. And she's so happy to have found my website. Thank you. It's always good to get great feedback, because that's what I work for. I want to help parents, and having feedback that it's helped, that's the best thing for me. Monica and her husband are about to become parents. Congratulations, in July, so not too long to go now. Exciting. And she writes, I am quite confused about how to handle this trilingual situation. So, and what's the situation? Monica is Colombian, so her mother tongue is Spanish. Her husband is French. They live in France, and together they speak English because Monica doesn't speak French yet. And so Monica, in her own words, says, what's the best way to teach our girl the 3 languages? So you, Monica, you would like your daughter to learn all the 3 languages, which are Spanish, French, and English. And so far you have this discussed with your husband that that you would be the one passing on English and that he would speak French. And right, if and then you have chosen that because you have been speaking English longer, so I presume you feel that your English is on a higher level than his English. Okay. My comment to this would be that if you decide to speak English with your child, then a daughter, with your daughter, then she will not learn Spanish unless you take some other measures, like put her in, get her like a Spanish-speaking nanny, or find a Spanish-speaking school or nursery for her, because the fact is her native language, or her dominant language will be French, since you live in France. You do not mention if you have thought about which school she will go to, but if she goes to French daycare and French school and her dad speaks French with her, then her strongest language will definitely be French, and her second language will be whatever you speak to her. So if you speak English with her, then that's what she will learn. I would like you to consider this very carefully, though. Spanish is your mother tongue. It's also the connection to your side of the family, and I can see. I understand that you have decided on prioritizing English before before Spanish, but think ahead. Think very carefully and think ahead how it will feel after a couple of years when she's fluent in English and French, but she won't be fluent in Spanish. The situation where she's not able to communicate like with your side of the family unless it's in English. What I don't like I said, you have decided that it would be you and not your husband. My recommendation, just out of the best setup for passing on the 3 languages would be that your husband would speak English and you would speak Spanish. So then she would get those 2 languages from the both of you, and then she would learn French from a nursery or school. Another option what you could think about if your husband does not want to speak French is that if your husband does not want to speak English, is that if he speaks French and you speak Spanish, and then you try to find an English-speaking school for her. I mean, there are many international schools in France. You do not mention where you live, but if you have one in the area, then that would be a great way of her also learning English. So that would be my take on it. Think very carefully on the priorities and what it means if she grows up not learning Spanish, and how that would make you feel, and then make a decision based on that. You can post any follow-up questions in the comments, and I will pick them up. That was Monica's question, and then I have Tracy's question here. Hi, Tracy. Is one parent, one language the best way to teach minority languages in a country where the majority language is another language? Example, parents speak Dutch or French, children being raised in an English-speaking country with very little opportunity to hear or speak the home languages. Yes, if you want your child to learn, or if you want the child to learn both Dutch and French and then English, then one parent, one language would be the best option. When you do this, one good thing about it is that you have two minority languages at home, which means that the minority language is at home, which means that the majority language, in this case, in your example case, English, doesn't get like a foothold within the family, and that is actually quite good, because then the child will get into a routine where mom always speaks, let's say, Dutch, and dad speaks French, and that's something that the child becomes the routine, and it's then also easier for parents to stay consistent in the languages, especially since like I said, the majority language doesn't have a place within the home. You do not mention, Tracey, which language parents speak with each other. If English comes in through that way, then I would also, because quite often English is the common language between parents, if it is, then just leave that as such. So never speak English with the child. Always switch to the whichever your native language is when you speak directly to the child. And this consistency, it's not that children get confused or if a parent switches between languages. It's not about that. The consistency is about creating a routine, getting used to it, because it's so easy to slip into the majority language. For example, if a child, especially when the child enters nursery or school and comes back, and there's a lot more English, and English is the language the child has been spending a lot of time in, then a child comes home and speaks English naturally, because that's the language where all the experiences have been in. So naturally, it's the natural reaction from a child who is always pragmatic with the languages is to use the language that the experiences happened in. If the child is used to switching to English, then that's the way English can get more and more space within the language setup within the family. If a child is used to always speaking a certain language with a parent, then there's a bigger threshold for this to happen. Both of my daughters are adults now, and we have been living in the UK for 20 years, and but we still speak Swedish with each other. I mean, their whole lives, every day, it's pure English. Although my eldest daughter is passing Swedish on to our grandson as well, which is fantastic. But their majority language is English. But when they speak to me and when they come to visit, it's Swedish. It's something, it's so natural, they don't even think about it. It's something we switch to absolutely by default. Thank you, Tracey. Hi, Fee. I always try to explain with a globe where all different family members live. That's great. Yeah, it's very good that the child identifies with where the different family members come from. And loads of other countries speak different languages, and we speak German and English because of this, that. Yes, absolutely. And you can do this with quite small children, just and expose them to different languages, even to languages they don't understand. It is really good for children to be aware of that there are many languages, and it's absolutely normal that to speak different languages than what the child maybe experiences. In many African countries, it's normal that children grow up with 4 or even 5 languages. So yeah, I'm just reading your comments. So some just understand why being different in speaking languages. Yes, absolutely. Yes, and yeah, you can go even, especially in for us who live in English speaking countries. We have a lot of monolinguals around us. This is, however, not the norm. The norm overall in the world is to speak more than one language. So the norm actually is being at least bilingual or more. It is the minority of the people of the world speak only one language. So this is something good to keep in mind when we speak to our children about our languages. And thank you, Tracy. Yes, I am excited. He's coming to visit me now over the Easter, and so there will be a lot of Swedish spoken again. So those were the questions I had for today. Thank you very much for participating and asking questions. And there will be another Q&A in about 2 weeks. I will, as usual, put up a note on the Facebook page. Please do keep on sending those questions and keep on speaking your languages. It can be done. I know it. I have spoken with so many parents who had been jittery to start with, but just by sticking with it and staying consistent in using your language. However, don't make it so rigid so it feels uncomfortable. Just enjoy it and make sure your child enjoys it as well. So I wish you a great weekend, and if you're celebrating Easter, happy Easter, and thank you for joining. Bye.